Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Russian River Brewing Company, and they're out of both Santa Rosa and Windsor, California, and this is their Velvet Glow. So they're calling this one a pale, dry beer, but they also refer to it as a German-style Helles lager, and it comes in at 4.75% alcohol by volume, 20 IBUs, and at the time of review, this bottle is just over 3 months old. I'm gonna give a huge thanks and shout out once again to a friend of mine and a viewer of the channel, Sierra Hotel, for this beer. So big thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies he sent my way. And he sent me a bunch of West Coast goodies and included one beer from Russian River, which is kind of crazy because recently another good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Billy, he hooked me up with 7 different Russian River beers. And after I reviewed the last one, I was like, probably won't see any Russian River beers for maybe a couple years, who knows? And nope, Sierra Hotel hooked it up with this one, and that's because he watched, I think, a couple of those reviews, and he saw, I think it was the STS Pils review. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Sierra Hotel, but he said that he saw a lot of people mention Velvet Glow and was like, you know what, I'll throw that in for him. So huge thanks to him. So this is a German Helles lager. And it says, Velvet Glow is an homage to the Grace family who once owned Grace Brothers Brewing right in Santa Rosa. This is the second Grace Brothers brand we have resurrected, the other being Happy Hops, which I did review. Velvet Glow is a Helles style lager with a crisp malt character and a dry, refreshing finish. So yeah, Happy Hops was a pretty delicious IPA, and I'm thinking that this is going to be a pretty delicious Helles lager. We will see. I'm super pumped to give it a go. So we'll give it a pour here. Super light looking. Now, when it comes to like low ABV lagers or just crushable lagers, Helles definitely up there for me. Czech style dark lagers probably at the top of the list, but something like this, yeah, hook me up. Now that STS Pils was a top notch, so I'm expecting big things from this one. We will see. So that has a super pale yellow color. Almost looks like fizzy yellow beer you would see from like your bigger macro companies. The clarity is just through the roof. It's super clear. Has just over a finger of a soap sudsy, bright white colored head, decent carbonation. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, honestly, that's a beautiful looking Helles lager. Let's get a nose. Ooh, wow. So, you know, a lot of times Russian River will brew to style, or they'll throw their twists on whatever they're doing, like the STS Pils, a little bit of a twist in there. Sometimes they do that with styles. This, I feel like they're doing that again. Maybe this is supposed to be to style, but I'm getting like a lemony kick, and a lot of Helles lagers I don't get lemony kicks in. But it has such just a crazy amount of bready characteristics that is just insane. Sourdough bread is a perfect way to explain it, just like that STS Pils. Yeah, sourdough bread. Oh man, it's just crazy. There's a little bit of like a honey too, somewhat biscuity. But it is that sourdough bread through and through. Again, I'm getting a little bit of a lemony kind of character, very slight. And then it just has this like zippy, almost like spicy kind of hop character, very slight spiciness. Herbaceous as well. Ooh. As I keep on going back, like I know this is stupid, it's just a beer review, right? It doesn't mean anything. I'm getting goosebumps. Why? Because it's exciting me. Russian River, take away all the hype they've had, you know, going back 20 years and just strip it away. I'm telling you, they make fucking fantastic beer. They just do. And the STS Pils was like a revelation for me because I'm like, wow, this is the best American brewed lager I've ever had. Hands down, it was. This kind of rivaling that from a nose standpoint. We'll see if the taste lives up to the own perceived hype in my mind. But man, this smells awesome. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. And thanks again, Sierra Hotel. It is fucking delicious. But here's the thing. STS Pils was a little bit better for me. This is still fucking dynamite though. It is, when they say, what did they say? It says pale dry beer on the front, but what does it say? Dry, refreshing finish. This is substantially dry. And I think, listen, going into it, reading what they said in terms of the, you know, the description over here, pale dry beer, and the style itself, I know these can be dry. This is extremely dry. Maybe one of the most dry Helles style lagers I've ever had. Buying this is lower side of medium, in the medium realm. It's not thin, it's not watery. It's great for 4.75%. The mouthfeel, it's super crisp. It's very effervescent. It's moderate carbonation, maybe a touch over. Dances on the palate. It is fucking super clean. And then on top of that, really refreshing. Man, that dryness is just sapping my palate of all the saliva, like, period. Just done. The taste has a lot of similarities to the STS Pils for me. Like this malt character, again, it's very complex. It's sourdough bread. It has a biscuity kind of nature, a little bit of a honey drizzle in there. It also has a little bit of that lemony, a touch of that lemony kick, like about halfway through the palate. As it continues on, the beer starts to dry out maybe like halfway through the palate and continues on to the end where it's full on dry. And it has this drying, I would say more of like an herbaceous, spicy kind of note to it. 4.75%, you can't taste, or you can't taste it at all. I'm just trying to think how much I enjoy this one. I think I may have went a little bit nuts off the first sip. Is this good? Yes. Is it delicious? Yeah. Is this as good as STS Pils for myself? Period. No. STS Pils was like a class of its own for me. That is still the best American brewed lager I've ever had. As far as a Helles lager goes from American Brewery, this is up there though. Yeah, I could drink a lot of these. Now, I know another friend of mine, viewer of the channel, Jack, he talks about the price points of these is kind of, especially for the lagers, is the reason why he doesn't buy a lot of them. And I could totally see that. We'll talk about that momentarily, but these are a bit expensive, kind of, for the style and whatnot. I don't know. What did I do rating wise? I think this is in between a high 4.25 and a low 4.5 for me. Regardless, I always say this. Don't worry about ratings on my channel. You come to see, hopefully you come to see me review beer and have an understanding at the end of the review how much I enjoy beer. So ratings, they only matter to the person rating the beer, in my opinion. Like my rating should hold no weight towards what you ultimately decide if you want to try this or you've had this before. If you disagree with me and you give this a 3.5 or you give this a 5 out of 5, whatever, that's your palate. This is mine. But I will say, this is a really good beer. So I'm going to pour a little bit more in here and we are going to lock in a rating. What do I give this? I don't know. You know what? I'm going to err on the side of caution. And I'm going to give Velvet Glow from Russian River. I'm going to give this beer a high 4.25. I'm going to go 4.35. Gets almost in the low 4.5. I think, now listen, this drying finish they're talking about, that it definitely exists. If this beer had a more of like a, say, moderate to full-on dry finish as opposed to like a full-on dry finish like it does, I would definitely give this a 4.4. I think that dry finish stopping me from getting in the low 4.5. Regardless, it's a 4.35 out of 5. Damn good score for a American brewed Helles lager, and it's a really tasty beer. So price point availability. Now, this is for some where it goes a little bit sideways, and Sierra Hotel, you can correct me if I'm wrong based on what you paid for it. I didn't ask them, but I do know Jack and a couple others mentioned that like a lot of these bottles, when they're like Whole Foods or just get on the shelves, they're typically like $6.99 for a bottle. Now, even if this was $4.99 bottle, you're talking $5 for a, just over 500 milliliter bottle for a 4.75% lager. That's expensive. It is. If this is $6.99, that's even crazier. Here's the thing. It's California. It's more expensive. Quality, though, I gave this a 4.35. I really like it. Would I pick this up occasionally if it was distributed next to me? If I was in California, would I grab this at $7 a bottle? Occasionally, I would. I would probably opt for the STS Pils all the time over this, though. But honestly, it's expensive. For some folks out there, it's not. It's all in the eye of the beholder, whatever you value this beer at. But, as a whole, $6.99 for a just over 500 milliliter bottle of something that's 4.75% and just a lager, it's a little bit pricey. Availability, it's Russian River. They're definitely available in California, probably some neighboring states. I do know some folks even in Maine. On the East Coast, got some drops of their stuff before. So, I'm sure you're going to see distro of their beers go up more and more over time, but they haven't had great distro for a long time. Back in the day, I think you could only get, Pliny the Elder, they would do occasional drops in, Colorado and Philly for the longest time. And now I'm pretty sure you can get that beer, all over, not all over the place, but in many different states. So all I'll say is if you see this and you like Helles lagers and you're curious, and give it a try. I think it's a very well-made Helles lager that's super tasty. But the STS Pils, I don't want to say plural, I just want to say Pils. The STS Pils. The STS Pils, to me, a notch above this. But regardless, I'm super happy I got a chance to try this. So huge thanks here at the hotel for this one. Probably the last Russian River beer I'll have for a hot minute. So I'm going to savor every single sip of this beer and go drink it off camera. If you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it. And let me know, what is your preference between this and the STS Pils? Are you team Velvet Glow or team STS Pils? For me, definitely team STS Pils. And yeah, 4.75%, you can't taste it. I just wish that like super dry, long finish wasn't there. If so, this is definitely in the low 4 or 5 range. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. As I said, when I took that first sip, I said cheers. I should have said prost to the next one.